Hey guys, welcome to Breaking Feud, and in this video, I do want to talk about something that I am kind of excited about, honestly, and it is the iPhone 15 Pro. I got the So as a guy who used Android tablets growing up with Chromebooks, and then down the road, Android phones with USB-C, which is the OnePlus 3 and the 5T, and then for a brief moment, as I was owning the iPhones, I had owned a OnePlus N200, which I gave that to a family member, but going from like Android tablets to OnePlus Android phones to iPads and iPhones, and then with Windows PCs, and then now a MacBook and the whole ecosystem, right? And then using AirPods and so on. What's my experience with the iPhone 15, especially coming from a guy who also does photography and is shooting this on the Sony Alpha A7 II, right? And using the iPad Air 4th Gen as a viewfinder. As a guy who's used big phones, from OnePlus 3 to iPhone 12 Pro Max, including the OnePlus N200, for me, using the smaller sized iPhone is pretty cool. I have the black titanium color. Now, I did go for I had originally pre-ordered the blue titanium, but what happened was I wanted to do a trade-in, and I guess I didn't set up the pre-order properly, that I canceled it and redid it. And the issue was, originally I was supposed to get it around October 4th, but because I did the whole reordering for the pre-order, it was gonna come out I was gonna get my phone next week. But luckily, one of the Apple stores, which is a drive, like a long drive, especially on Fridays when I was gonna miss my shift, it was a drive, and Apple kept running out of the Pro and Pro Max models, and the issue was every place you go to that sold iPhones only had the 15 and 15 Plus. I was getting the Pro Max, especially with those two not having the same chips as the Pro and Pro Max. I was disappointed that they were sticking with the iPhone 14 route, where the cheaper models were going to have the last gen's chipset of the Pro and Pro Max. Well, the Pro and Pro Max of the current lineup will get the chip upgrade, which was disappointing. But I did wanted a smaller size iPhone, especially coming from a guy who also did not like using big phones. Or at least with Android side, it was kind of slimmer in that sense. So it was easier to grip a bigger sized phone, unlike iPhones, especially when I have a friend who has big hands and told me that when he held my iPhone 12 Pro Max, he said it was uncomfortable. For me, I think the best big size iPhone was the 11 Pro Max, because it had curved edges, and then the 12 Pro Max decided to go the iPhone 4/5 route with the boxy design. And honestly, with the titanium side and the back glass all fused together, it feels good in your hand. So yeah. So like I said, I was using big phones for a while. Decided to get a small one. It's not like the normal size. It's not like the iPhone SE or the iPhone 6 to 8 series or the iPhone 12 mini or 13 mini, where you can use it with one hand. It's still big, but I think this should be the only size Apple should sell. And this is coming from a guy who remembered when the first iPhone was announced, when iPhone 4 was popular, when the iPhone 5 they decided to do like a little bit bigger screen size, and then when the 6 had the Bengay, the 6 Plus had the Bengay. It is a case of like it is in between the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus size, like the body size, but the display is larger than a 6 Plus or whatever, right? And for me, the display is so big that honestly, you don't need to get the Pro Max. I honestly think this is a perfect size iPhone. So yeah, especially when you're getting a boxy design where it's uncomfortable to hold in the hand because of the edges, this I think should be the way to go. So yeah. Now, the Pro Max sizes are the same sizes as the 15 and 15 Plus screen size. So yeah, let's talk about chips. So with the before we talk about chipsets, I'm going to talk about what's going on with the iPhone 15 line and why it has a different chipsets. So iPhone 15 and then the iPhone 15 Pros, they both have different chipsets, even though they're both in the same lineup. The reason is Apple wants the cheaper phones within the lineup to get the chipsets of the Pro models of the last year lineup. So essentially the best versions of the chips from the Pro Max of last year. And that's so that, customers can get the more expensive iPhone when they do end up upgrading, which is honestly bonkers in the past, right? Except for the iPhone 5C/5S lineup, at any time Apple released an iPhone lineup with more than one iPhone, right? It'll always have the same chipset. So the 6 Plus had the same chips, the 6S, 6S Plus, 7 Plus, including the 8 Plus and iPhone 10, right? The iPhone 10R, 10s Max, and 10s. The 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max, 12 Mini, 12 Pro Max. Same thing with the 13 lineup, right? But then a weird phenomenon happened where the 14, I guess because Apple was lazy, they're like, yeah, let's just slap the chipsets from the 13 Pro Max and the 13 Pro into the normal 14 Plus iPhones. And then the new chipsets will be on the 14 Pro and Pro Max. Which I thought was honestly just super lazy. I was like, maybe they're just trying to save all the bigger upgrades for the next year's iPhone. Because in the past, Apple used to do the S lineups where like it was a minor upgrade, right? When I think the first like minor upgrade was the 3GS, where it was like a minor upgrade from the 3G. The 5S was a minor upgrade from the 5. The 6S was a minor upgrade from the 6. And then technically, in a sense, yes, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus were like the S models of the 7. And then you had the 10s Max, the 10s lineup, which was the minor upgrade of the 10 iPhone 10 phone. So yeah, and then they stopped doing the SS ever since the 11 series, where we hadn't gone the 11S, the 12S, or the 13S, or the 14S. I was like, okay, maybe they're trying to do that weird thing where every other iPhone is doing that major upgrade, and the other ones are doing minor just without the S logo, right? Just because it's easier to keep track for people who are not into tech, right? So we'll call it the iPhone 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. But then the 15 came out. they did this exact same thing as the 14, which I was really disappointed because I was willing to upgrade my 12 Pro Max for the 15. I was going to get the lower end iPhone 15, 256 or 512, trade my phone in. But yeah, I decided to go for the bigger, the more premium route and get the 15 Pro. So yeah, so the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus has the same chipsets as the 14 Pro and Pro Max. While the 15 Pro and the Pro Max actually have the actual chip upgrade, the usually yearly chip upgrade, which is honestly just terrible. But it doesn't matter for me since I ended up getting the Pro phones. Let's talk about the camera quality on this. Sorry for the ramble of the chipsets. It just honestly annoyed me. Just because I'm a college student and Tim Cook just wants to steal money, especially when you can't really use your Apple card to finance the iPhones anymore, which is bonkers. But whatever. Camera. I haven't really done a lot of camera testing. I really haven't had a chance on doing any photography work or video, but I did do a kind of sort of short film just to test out the camera quality on this, because this is my first iPhone with cinematic mode. The short film, I will be releasing it within a couple days. Stay tuned for that. But so far, it's pretty good. Here is one footage. Here's a picture I took of a guy on a bike. And I did do a video test to see how good the stabilization is. So here it is. Now, obviously, in the past, Apple would I think 4 or 5 models will keep the same megapixels, right? But this is the first time where instead of doing like upgrading it to like a 16 megapixel, they went all the way up to a 48 megapixel sensor, and this goes with every model within the lineup, which is pretty amazing for people who also are going to be picking up the normal 15 and 15 Plus. So, yeah. It is a case of like, in the past, I would even, like, with people who have 14, one of the iPhone 14, 13s, and the Samsung devices, I would normally say, hey, if you could, pick up another point and shoot or a DSLR or mirrorless camera if you have the money. I'm the type of person who would rather have like a dedicated product for it, even if you're not like a pro user. So yeah, but it is a case where I'm like, okay, Apple is offering a 512 gigabyte for every single iPhone model, and if you get the Pro and Pro Max, you get a terabyte. Okay, I was like, maybe that's just outrageous, but looking at the camera quality, just from a couple sample tests I did, I honestly think it's amazing. Like, it's so good that I don't think you need a dedicated camera. You can just, in the past I've said, hey, you can start your YouTube channel or your photography gig or your filming gig on this, but this honestly is the camera to have. Even if you go for the 15 Pro Max, that camera is so much better that honestly you don't really need to pick up a camera if you are starting out in the professional world, right? And it is a case of like, honestly, it is worth just having one device to do everything, especially if you have like a tablet or a laptop where you can just, you know, at least use those for editing while doing your actual professional work on this. You could not just shoot everything in RAW, like in terms of photography, but do video RAW format on the iPhones, and they are so good, honestly. And just doing portrait shots, it's amazing. By far, it's so good. Like it, I would even say, like, if you have a 14, at least the standard 14 or 14 plus, which Apple still sells on their website, you should upgrade to the 15 lineup. But if you have the money, get the 15 Pro, or if you prefer a bigger device, bigger screen size, and you want to spend that extra $100 or $500 on a better camera, go for the Pro Max. So yeah. Hey guys, welcome to Breaking Food, and in this video I do want to review something that I am really excited to talk about. This, right now, as I'm shooting this, it is the third Friday, in a sense, that I've owned this, and it is the iPhone 15 Pro. Now, in the past, I've had the 15, the XS Max, 12 Pro Max, and XS Max, 11 Pro Max, and 12 Pro Max, and the OnePlus 3 and 5T, which were all the same size, but I decided to go with a smaller phone. Is it worth picking up an iPhone 15 Pro in this day and age? Let's find out. Now, this is the first iPhone to actually have the dynamic island cut out on every single variant of the iPhone 15 lineup. This was introduced, if you don't know what I mean by the dynamic island, it's this cutout. Now, in the past, ever since the iPhone 10, Apple has had a notch. And then with the 13, what they did was they trimmed down the notch smaller. And then with the 14, if you got the 14 Pro or Pro Max, you had this dynamic island, while with the 14 Plus and 14, you had the smaller notch from the 13 lineup. Now, I do like it, but I also don't at the same time. Now, the notch didn't really annoy me as much, to be honest. But with this, it's really useful. At least, like, that the cutout, the notch, the cutout wasn't really useful in all that sense, but it wasn't really annoying. It was just there to, I guess, to give us extra real estate screen. But with this, they made the cutout to where it's useful, right? And you get more of the display on the top of it. And it's really useful for a guy like me who drives like all the time. So I could be playing music in the car while using GPS. So let me open up an app, right? So I have music playing on YouTube Music while opening Google. Now, I don't know if you can see, but there is the icon from YouTube Music, which is showing that it's playing music, which is pretty cool, while I can have an app open. I can click on it and get back to the music and pause it or change it or do over right on the palm of my hand without doing any extra steps. In the past, you had to get to Control Center. This is pretty cool, honestly, and it's not just for music. I can also, this little shortcut also works with GPS or any other stuff that that the developers want to use, you know. So, yeah. So far, the selfie camera honestly is also amazing. I've taken a couple Zoom meetings and FaceTime calls using this selfie camera. Obviously, yes, I got the Mac, the iPad. Yes, I have a PC. But I was like, let me test the capabilities of the selfie camera on the 15 Pro. It's so good. Amazing. So yeah. Talking about music, the audio quality, meaning the speakers, the dual speakers, the one that's in the earpiece and on the bottom area, it's amazing. It's high quality. A little bit it's significantly louder in the sense that once if you have it on max settings, the volume, you're actually getting like amazing quality out of it compared to like my 12 Pro Max when I put it on max settings, max volume settings, which is pretty good because now I don't have to deal with, hey, let me use the aux or use a Bluetooth speaker or whatever. I get more clarity in a max setting. So yeah. Now the biggest feature by far on all the iPhone 15 lineup is Apple switching to USB-C from Lightning. I hope the camera's focusing on this. I don't think it's picking up, but okay, so here's the thing. This isn't the first time Apple changed the charging port, right? They switched from 30 pin to Lightning. And I remember the backlash that happened with switching to Lightning on the iPhone 5, right? Because you gotta understand, at that time, the 30 pin was Apple's proprietary charger, and switching it to Lightning was kind of terrible because that was at the time of the announcement, its release of the iPhone 5. That was the only Apple product that used Lightning, while the rest was using the 30 pin. But also, it was a good idea. Like there were pros and cons. Obviously, it's the only device, and everyone already had accessories from like 2003 when one of the iPod models came out with the 30 pin. So yeah, but it is a case of like, okay, unlike the 30 pin, which was annoying to plug into your phone, just like Type C, Lightning was like, okay, swoop, plug in, easy, reversible, and it was better and faster and stronger. Now, as time went by, USB got better, and then the development of USB-C was even better, and then with that, a lot of companies kind of, in a sense, decided to switch to Type C and kind of use Type C to their advantage. And Apple decided to switch Type C on their iPad. Originally, on their iPad, it started out with the iPad Pro, and then the iPad Air, and then the iPad Mini, and then now the budget iPad lineup. But also they switched it on their Mac lineup, on their computer side, right? When they decide to remove all the ports and switch it to Type C. Yes, it does suck, but it kind of helped the industry move forward. And now they brought back all the ports on the MacBook Pro, but still keeping Type C. So now you can use MagSafe charger and the Type C port to charge your MacBook. And that goes for the MacBook Air, which I currently have. I can use the MagSafe charger or USB-C. But it did kind of suck that I guess Apple didn't switch to Type C fully on the iPhones until now. I'm no stranger to it because I've used Type C in the past when I had my OnePlus 3 and then upgraded to the 5T, and then with the OnePlus Nord and 200, those were my first. The Android phones were like my first device with Type C before I switched to iPhone and using the Lightning. And then I also bought the Switch. And like I said, I have the iPad and MacBook Air, which does use Type C. They did, I think, I don't think it was the 10 or 10s, but it was the 11 where they shipped with the Lightning 2 Type C, so it was like a half step thing, which was weird, but at least with the 11 series, when I say 11 series, I mean the 11 Pro and Pro Max, they shipped with a USB-C adapter, which I'm like, okay, that's good. And then they stopped shipping adapters with the iPhones, especially with the iPhone 15, which now is fully USB-C. For me, it's not a problem. I already have so many USB-C adapters, but for the average users who are upgrading to not just the Pros, but the standard 15, 15 Plus, it's terrible, right? So, yeah. Um, but it is a cool thing to have it. You can use Type C on any piece of electronic that uses Type C. So I know the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, whatever, uses Type C to charge its consoles. Charge the controllers. Switch does it, and a lot of other devices do it, like Android devices and a lot of laptops, and the Windows side Chromebooks and Mac. Now, since you can do it with the iPhone, it's now a thing where like the ecosystem is good, and you can have the fully optimized Apple ecosystem with one cable now, which is pretty cool. I guess one a little annoying thing is with the, which I should have touched on earlier, is with the display cutout. Let's say if I'm watching a movie, right? Let me put on a movie or whatever. Let me put on one which has a 16:9 aspect ratio. I'll put on MKBH. The really cool YouTuber, hands down one of the best. So I wish I had the one of the iPhone models with a notch, but I don't know if you can see, but the video kind of gets cut out by um by uh the the cutout, right? The video gets cut out by the cutout itself, by the notch, the new notch. And in the past iPhone, with last year's model or any other iPhone model starting from the 10, it wasn't the case unless if you did the zoom in on the video to get the full display. But now, if you watch it without zooming in, it just cuts out. But that's only on videos that are shot in 16:9 aspect ratio, which MKBHD does and a lot of other YouTuber does. It's annoying, but I wish it wasn't like this. But yeah, the display quality is good. And then if you actually if you actually get the 15 and 15 Pro Max, you actually get a cool feature. So they don't have it on the 15s, 15 Plus. It's just a mute switch, which I think those are going to be the last iPhones to have the mute switch of 15 and 15 Plus. With the Pro and Pro Max, you get an action button. So I have a program to open the selfie camera. You can still program it to be a mute switch, but I just have it to open up the camera app quickly. So yeah. I think for me, one big thing that I'm really disappointed is there's no in-display fingerprint reader. They could have added it to the power button or inside the display, or use the Apple logo to be the fingerprint reader. I wish they added the fingerprint reader back. It's just my thing, but Face ID is pretty fast and quick. It's still reliable, it's fast and quick, but it's no fingerprint sensor type thing. So yeah. Is it worth picking up this iPhone? So first, I would say yes. Now, if you do have the money, you should go for the Pro and Pro Max. But even then, if you have the iPhone 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max, you should wait off. But if you have the 14, the standard 14, 14 Plus, or older iPhones, 100% you should go for at least the iPhone 15 or 15 Plus. Um, so yeah, just because you're still getting an amazing chip on the iPhone 15, even though it's not the same one as the 15 Pro, it's still an amazing chip, and you're getting Type C, and you're getting the 48 megapixel camera, you're getting an amazing display, and overall, it's a pretty cool phone. So yeah, would I recommend it? 100%. I say I think you should go out and get the iPhone. I would, before you get it from Apple, I would. So for me, I traded it in through Apple, but check your carriers to see if you are getting a better deal through your carriers. Because a lot of times, like AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, the three major carriers, they do offer like amazing deals on the iPhone if you trade in your phone. Depending on the plan, you gotta check with your carriers, but they do offer a better deal than Apple. So just check your carriers. Even Spectrum or Cricket, you should check it just in case if you do get a better deal than trading in your phone through Apple. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. My channel, my video. So as always, please stay tuned for more content. I'll be uploading my short film sometime down the road before the end of this year, and it was completely shot on this phone, the 15 Pro. It was a camera test, but yeah, I will be uploading it anytime before 2024. So please stay tuned. Click on the notification bell icon, hit subscribe, share this video with everyone else, and stay safe.